What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. Pleased to be sponsored by Flyers Indoor Golf. Make sure you get yourself over to the website. Make sure you get booked on to a little course and a little bosh and a little bish with the golf clubs round whatever course you can think of. Right, let's talk about the news today. John will be back with us tomorrow. He's just been stacked. Right, Everton have not announced this. It come out as a bit of the in the know stuff that we all get. Well, Branthwaite's injured. He's pulled his hamstring. It's 4 to 6 weeks. That is as bad a news as it can be, really, going into the first game of the season against Leeds. And it doesn't feel like a million miles ago that he was injured again. So, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned by this, to be honest, and this little niggles that he seems to be getting more regularly than not. I'm getting old, look at my eyes. So, yeah, it's a bit frustrating going into a new season, and there was all that excitement and all that positive stuff yesterday with the whole Jack Grealish thing. And by the way, if you haven't watched his interview, go and watch it because it's fantastic. It's from the heart and it's typical Brummie, which, I love. But realistically, it was all positive. And look, it is still positive. And nothing's really changed. Everton know that we need to sign a right back, we need to sign a right winger, and all of those things are still the same. But it's just a bit of a problem when you're going up against a newly promoted side against Leeds and you're not going to have your £80 million defensive talisman in the back four. You're also not going to have potentially your first choice left back in Mykolenko. So both of those things are not positives. Now, there will be a match preview because it's a Monday game. The match preview will be Saturday. But we need to be trying to address that issue. Do I think we'll get a right back in by Leeds? No, I don't. Do I think we get a right winger in? No, I don't. There is rumours that Everton will go back in for Tyler Dibling. And I think that could possibly be the case. I think Southampton, by all accounts, have realised that they might have been pushing the boat a little bit. Everton haven't been taken for mugs. And they probably need to generate some money, maybe, I don't know. But apparently rumours are that they are now interested in selling him. So it makes me wonder if Dibling said something, or his heart's not there, or equally if Southampton do want to sell him, are just trying to pull the wool over Everton's face in the first place. I don't know. But the point I'm making is we're going up into this Leeds game, and those are two key areas that we still haven't got strengthened. I think we've seen enough of Patterson to know that even if he was fit, I don't think he would be first choice right back anyway. He's got a hernia injury. So already Everton have lost 3 defenders, in Patterson, Mykolenko and Branthwaite. On top of the fact that Seamus Coleman, let's be realistic, can't stay fit. And that's not a dig at Coleman, by the way, but he just, he is, by all intensive purposes, should be playing 15 minutes there, 10 minutes there. He shouldn't be starting Premier League games. So that's a concern for me. And the more that this actually goes on, the more I sit there and I think maybe we should have just signed Ashley Young for another season. Not necessarily started him, but at least in situations like this, you have got a player that can play both left and right back. And against Leeds, against 2 really decent wingers, whether it be Nonto, the pace of Dan James, they're gonna hurt. They're gonna hurt us. They're gonna attack those areas. So Everton potentially having to move O'Brien into that centre half spot could cause a problem. And the fact that there isn't a right back there does concern me. Now we know James Justin's been linked from Leicester, but it's not happened. We've also been linked with a young lad from Southampton, if I'm not mistaken, and we've also been linked from a lad abroad. But none of these things are imminent. None of these things have happened, and none of these things are getting this person in the team by Monday night. That worries me. And that needs fixing. It definitely needs fixing, doesn't it? It needs fixing. And it was bad news today. So, talking about other news, there isn't loads apart from the fact that, as I said earlier, Dibling potentially could be back on the table. I don't think any Everton fan really thought this was off the table, but I do think that the fees that Southampton are requesting, even probably now, are too high, and I just can't see Everton paying it. I think £30 million, even £40 million is probably okay. But this £50 million plus 25% sell-on clauses and all of that, I just think it's a load of rubbish, and I just think Everton should be nowhere near that. Again, not a dig at Southampton. We had exactly the same drama with Man United last season, so we can't be hypocritical and start digging out for Southampton for deciding how much they want on their player. But the fundamentals are, I don't think Everton should stretch to that. I think it would be foolish to do that. The other thing that I think is really key to all of this is going in with the right momentum. You know, Everton have gone from an upsetting pre-season, really. It's not been great. It's been really disappointing. And I think the fundamentals are that Everton simply have to improve. We're going up against a Leeds side that are going to have that bit between their teeth. And you really do want a stable squad. And we're not quite there. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what David Moyes does in the absence of Branthwaite in this position. You know, there's rumours he could do a 3-5-2, maybe even put James Garner in at right back. It's going to be interesting. But the fundamentals are Everton really shouldn't be in this position going into the first game of the season, knowing that they could have possibly mitigated this if they'd have signed a fucking right back. Sorry to swear, but that's where my head's at. And the other bit of news, interestingly, is Leeds may have a new centre forward going into this game in the name of Dominic CalvertLewin. Now, I sort of saw this coming a million miles away, and I think so many others did. Calvert-Lewin is a player that I think probably fits Leeds. I think their wingers will put the ball into the box, they're quick on transition, and they'll play to Calvert-Lewin's strengths. The only thing I would say is Calvert-Lewin can't hit a barn door. And we saw it for God knows how many seasons. One-on-ones is not a strong suit of his at all. So I don't actually see what Leeds gain from this, to be honest, because I just don't see how there's a positive outcome. Now, look, I wish every former Everton player the best of luck, but I can't imagine he's getting the money that he wanted at Leeds. And that's not a dig at Leeds, but, you know, those rumours are Newcastle were interested, Man United were interested, and he's going to Leeds. Not a dig at Leeds, as I said, but it just, something doesn't stack up, and it makes me think that he's actually ran out of options, and he's ending up at Leeds, and he's not really going to be team fit for the season, and for the start of the season. And I think he's been poorly advised. I think he's probably in a bad position, and he realises that he needs to find a solution to that, and that involves playing football. Now, if Calvert-Lewin scores enough goals to keep Leeds in the Premier League, brilliant. I just don't think it happens. I don't think it happened. I don't think it's remotely close. I don't think it's even possible, but we will see. The other thing to just mention is this game's fast approaching. And, you know, with the news of Grealish, we can only assume that Dewsbury Hall will start. He played really well against Roma. It's just going to be interesting to see how he lines up, Moyes. We've also just found out that we've got Mansfield in the Carabao Cup, which isn't huge breaking news. The game's going to be week 25th of August. So again, it's going to be an opportunity for other players to get an opportunity to play at the stadium. And I think Moyes will think about games like that when he's holding on to players like Harrison Armstrong, because, you know, there's rumours that he could be linked with a loan move. I'm on the fence as to whether that's right. I actually think I'd prefer to keep Harrison and actually sell one of the other midfielders to generate some income. But I don't know. I don't know where my head's at. I just think I'm glad it's a game again at home. I'm glad it's the first Carabao Cup game at home. I'm glad it's against a team that touchwood Everton should beat. But I think most importantly, it's an opportunity to see the younger players play, which is a big thing. So anyway, we're leaving it there. This was only a short news video. Nothing too graphic, nothing too sensational this evening. No breaking news apart from really that Everton could potentially be back in for Dibling and Branthwaite is injured. But I think we've still got to keep the positivity going. I think, Everton should have enough to be very competitive against Leeds, whether that's a point, whether that's a win. We should be competitive. Brighton is probably a tougher challenge at home. Now, we know what happened with Brighton at Goodison last season. I think we lost 3-0 if I'm not mistaken. You don't want that sort of performance. Michael Keane played in that game at the end of the season against Newcastle and by all accounts was very good. So I don't want to write Michael Keane off before he's even kicked a ball this season. But this is exactly what Millsy said, to be fair. Millsy literally said on this channel, Michael Keane will play lots of games of football and he's going to be starting the season as Everton's centre-half, potentially. And that doesn't make me feel great. So, look, we'll leave it there. Hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you go over to Flyers website. Check them out, Indoor Golf. I think they're the only golf centre in Liverpool now, so make sure you go and hook them up and hit some of those driving balls down the fairway, whatever it's called, into the little pot. And you get lots of pars, birdies, eagles, and everything else. Right, up the toffee. See you soon. Peace.